Hi everyone, Knife Edge UK here. We're going to have a look today at a myth and a legend, the Gareth Ball Shamwari. So before we go any further, this is the 3.3 inch frame lock version, and we're going to just put it with a few other knives just to give you an idea of the size. Obviously it's 3.3 inches of blade, so you kind of know that already. But here it is next to a knife which I think was probably quite a bit of an inspiration for this knife, the Chris Reeve Sebenza 21. You can see a few similarities in some of the profile elements there. Here we have a 3.5 inch XM18 in the Bowie blade, obviously, or the Bowie blade, depending on where you're from. Here it is against something a little bit more sensible, the Spyderco Capara. And should we put it against anything else? Can we be bothered? Shall we? Oh, I don't know. Let's put it against a Hindra Jurassic as well. Okay, so it's a 3.3 inch blade, and it's a classic knife. So if you're into the knife world in general, if you're into high-end knives, particularly customs, you will probably have heard of the Gareth Ball Shamwari. Like I said, this is a 3.3 inch bladed version in frame lock. They do them in liner locks, they do them in 3 inch blades, there's 3.5 inch blades, there's a slightly different blade profile. This is the classic kind of Shamwari drop point that the knife is known and loved for, certainly my preference of the blades. And yeah, so let's get into the overall specs of the knife and what I think of it. This is kind of an overview / review. This is a great knife, and there's lots of reviews on it out there, so you can read a lot about it everywhere, but here's my thoughts on this very recent one. These are generally released in batches via the Balls. It's Gareth and Jason Ball, incidentally. They generally release them on their Instagram in batches of about 12 knives there or thereabouts, it seems to be nowadays. You go in on a lottery. Generally speaking, up to 1,000 people or more even will join a lottery, and the names will be drawn for the few lucky winners of that lottery. And so if you're lucky enough to get one, you're very lucky. So this one, as I say, this is from the most recent batch of this version with the change in the hardware. So we've got, in this instance, blue titanium hardware, which is now, it used to have a pivot collar, it's now oversized, looks really nice, I think, matched to the back handle fixing point there into the standoff. The threads have been improved slightly, I believe, and overall it's just been made a little bit beefier. As I say, this is the frame lock version. Blade M390. Beautifully ground. Something to say about the balls in general is that I think there's kind of a bit of perhaps a misconception that they are kind of in the Grimsmo, maybe Koenig, Holt Spectre, or Holt Blade Works kind of world of Herman, kind of world of high-end CNC knives, and they're certainly the world of high-end knives. But this is not a CNC maker. This is much more along the lines of your Philippe Georges or your Remy Lavial or Enrique Pena maybe. There's no CNC in the Ball shop. Everything's done, broadly speaking, by hand. The blanks are roughed out, I believe, probably by a water jet. I didn't ask, but I believe that's probably the case. And everything else is done on pretty traditional tools. So while this looks like quite a clean, very modern design, it's done in quite an old school way. And I think it can be tempting for people to think of it more along the lines of, I say, like those other makers. Obviously, I love both sides of the knife fence from that point of view. I like great high-end CNC stuff, and I really like knives like this that are largely handmade. I'm going to stop waffling about that now. Right, the knife. M390 Blade, beautifully hand ground, hand rub satin over a hollow grind. The swedge has a really nice quite high polish. It is a mirror. There's no marks or anything in that. It's really nicely done. Top of the blade is crowned, and it beautifully, hopefully that'll focus, yeah, beautifully transitions into a very fine swedge line at the back, and it's really evenly done. Props to Gareth or Jason, whoever ground this. It's fantastic. Handles, really nicely contoured. They have an overall contour and then beautiful chamfers all the way around that match into this really nice hybrid bent slash milled pocket clip, which on this one is a really good tension with loads of space underneath it for any pocket seam. It's really good. You have their really nice flanged titanium standoff, which is just really nicely done as well. I'm going to say really a lot. I do in my videos. I'm trying to stop doing that. Or you want to say really. The over travel is this very characteristic oversized. It's an over travel stop and the back of the pivot. It's really nice in that while this is actually free spinning, it's never going to free spin really because there's so much surface area there that these just work really well. I've already done it. See, I said really twice then. Never mind. Okay, so the the lock bar smoothness is fantastic. It goes up into this transition with the blade tang really well. Lock geometry is really good. It's super stable and solid. No lock bar insert. Nice, you know, there's no lock stick, but it's a really nice sticky lock. You can feel that it's holding on to the blade. You can see the lock-up percentage is really good. The lock bar has a lovely soft feel. You know, this is one of the nice things about knives that don't have an insert, is because, you know, you don't have a slippy surface against a slippy surface, you don't need to have quite as much lock bar tension. But even saying that, the lock bar geometry of this must be so good because it's holding really strongly, but it's super light. And the action, partly I imagine as a result of that, and partly just because of all the finishes on the inside, is, I mean, it's what Shamwaris are known for. I've seen ones that don't quite drop as well as these latest ones seem to, but this is absolutely perfect. Jimping on the top is aggressive enough. Blade flies out. There's enough detent, well, more than enough detent there, and it holds beautifully and then drops stunningly smoothly. It's a controlled drop, but you can also just do a full drop like that as well. It's perfect. It's one of the best actions I've ever had, and if you're if you're a big action fan on a knife, I think it's one of the best you're ever going to feel. It's exceptional. You know, it's not just drop shotty. It has that, you know, correct sense of you know, there's a texture to the way it drops. You know, ultra smooth, but so controlled and even. It's just stunning. What else can we say about the knife? It's beautifully ground, as I said, very thin behind the edge. Ergonomically, the Shamwari, particularly in the 3.5 size, I've had a 3-inch before that I found a smidge small in hand. The 3.5 is just lovely. It's a very neutral handle. I guess, like, you know, going back to our discussion about the Sebenza, it has that same kind of neutral approach. Feels fantastic in hand. You know, some people say about the jimping, I don't really think this is intended to be used actually holding the knife. I mean, you can, and it cants the blade forward quite nicely, but I think you're supposed to just have your hand up on this beautiful smooth crown spine. It's really good because it's neutral. Holds well in a pinch grip as well. I mean, there's nothing that this won't feel, you know, pretty comfortable in. It carries fantastically because it's very thin, very light, very smooth, straight profile. It's just, you know, it's a classic for a reason, and it is a classic of the knife world. If you can get one, absolutely do. They are certainly every bit as good as people say, and there's not really anything I can criticize on this one. This is a very nicely done Shamwari, and I wish I could tell you something negative. I think maybe if I wanted to pick something out, there's a tiniest little bit of flare there from where the plunge grind's intersecting, but I mean, I'm getting super nitpicky there because it's really nothing. But apart from that, it's an absolutely exceptional piece of work. So if you can get one, yeah, they're worth the hype. There are other knives out there that are just as good, that are more accessible, but they are certainly worth they're worth chasing if you really love the design, because yeah, they're every bit as good as people say they are. Thanks very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you on the next video.